What's going on, everybody? My name is Jason and welcome to my channel. What we have here is we have a very interesting project that I'm having trouble doing a video on, but I really was excited to kind of show y'all what's going on. What I've done is I've gotten this mid-90s Trek 930. Now this one retailed in 1995 for $500. This is a double-butted chromoly tubing bike. It uses true temper chromoly tubing. It was actually welded by Trek. This was whenever Trek was actually making their own bikes. So this frame was actually welded in Waterloo, Wisconsin in 1995. So it's a great frame, no suspension. So I decided to kind of do a little bit more of a modern touch. And whenever I say modern, this originally came with cantilever brakes, and I installed these Avid Black Ops linear pull brakes. These brakes are absolutely amazing, and these are actually back whenever Avid was actually CNC machining these in the US. Absolutely amazing brake. It's got 2 sealed bearings inside of it. Super powerful. Now they can be noisy because it does, they sometimes squeal because I guess the frame resonates since the brakes are so stiff, but that's okay. They are an amazing brake. I have slapped some carbon fiber handlebars on here, some Avid brake levers. We put a 1x Shimano Dior crankset. I really wish I went with like SLX or XT, because as amazing as these cranks are, they're a little heavy, and I didn't really like that. We put some really cool anodized aluminum pedals on there. These are blue anodized. And then I actually added this Madrone purple 12-speed derailleur on here. And I'm going to say it is amazing. I'm very happy with it. I've been riding it for a little bit, and it has actually surpassed my expectations. But it's expensive. It's very expensive. To achieve this 12-speed setup, I ended up using a Shimano 5110 cassette on here. But to put the cassette on this was a whole different thing. I actually had to get a compatible hub. So this hub had to fit the frame and fit the 12-speed. And actually most of the 12-speed setups don't use a 135 spacing. So I actually had to find something that would actually work with this bike. And in the video that I was doing, I was explaining all this, but unfortunately I have lost some of the footage. I don't know if I accidentally erased it, if something got corrupted. I don't know. But I ran into that before I actually got the headset that I was wanting to install. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be installing this vintage Toro needle bearing headset onto this bike. It's got a little bit of purple, and actually in a previous video I was saying that we're bringing back the 90s, and one thing that I miss from the 90s is all of these colorful parts. Why don't you see these nice pretty anodized parts on these newer bikes? I don't understand, because I thought it was really cool. And building this bike, this is a nice blue frame, and I thought it would look really cool with some purple and blue on there. And y'all might not like it, but I'm actually loving this. I ordered these, and I was afraid that the video was going to be released before I got the headset, but due to misplacing, losing some of the footage, we're going to actually show me installing this headset, and it's a really cool headset. However, I do remember in the past, whenever we were installing these sealed bearing headsets or needle bearing headsets, what would happen is whenever you installed it, and you got the headset adjusted properly, whenever you were turning the handlebars, there would be a spot where it really bound up. And we found out early that you had to face the head tube, because see, you could have the bottom of the head tube perfectly straight, but then the top could have a slight angle to it. And what would happen is when the handlebars would turn, the bearings would actually bind up. With a regular loose ball bearing or caged headset bearing, you didn't have that problem, because that bearing could actually roll up on the sides of the cups a little bit and it didn't affect it. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to go ahead and remove this old headset, and we're going to face the head tube. We're going to actually make sure that it's faced properly before installing this headset. And for y'all, if you're wanting to know why some of the bike shops charge so much for installing the headsets, well, I'm going to tell you, it's the tools. This Crown Race tool, that was $100. The Crown Race puller, that was, I think this was $300. I'm going to be using this Crown Race tool to make sure that the Crown Race is perfectly straight, and that was at the time $520 for this tool. And then I've got the actual tool that's going to be actually making sure that the surface is straight, and this is actually the Park Tool HTR 1B. This is over $500 for this tool right here. So with all these tools that I'm going to be using to install this headset, it's over $1,600. Now, of course, you don't have to have these. You can install all this without that, but the problem is the headset might bond up. It could shorten the life of the headset. The bearings, if it's a sealed bearing, you can actually damage the bearings. So to do it properly, it's going to cost you a little bit of money, even if you get the cheaper stuff. And you can get some no-name tools to do the job, but it might not be done properly. And Park Tool makes some of the best tools in the world, professional tools, that is, and that's what we're going to be using. So let's go ahead and remove all this. And the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to undo the brake cable, because when the fork drops, we want to be able to move it around. And with the cable hooked up, we're not going to be able to do that. So we're going to just unhook the cable without having to use any tools. So we won't have to readjust it afterwards. We do not have to remove the front wheel. Maybe I will, but we're going to try to do it without. Keep track of all your parts. I've got my stem cap there. We're going to get a 6mm Allen key. Where's my 3-way? I like to use my 3-way. It's a little quicker and convenient. So we're going to go ahead and loosen up the stem. Sometimes the stem is a little tight, and if it's not coming undone, which this one is, you just have to give the tool or the bolt in there a bit of a tap and it'll break free. So we are going to set this aside, and we're going to undo the headset. So we need a couple of 36mm headset wrenches, and we're going to break this free because they're locked together good. So we're gonna undo this. Okay, remove the washers. We're gonna unscrew this top piece, and you got to be careful because sometimes the bearings like to fall out if they're not in a cage. Okay, bearings are actually right there, nice and contained. We're going to put them with the other parts, and we're going to carefully let the fork come out. The next thing that we're going to be doing, I didn't show this tool, but this is a cup remover. You slide it in there, and this little tool kind of springs out, and what it does is it allows you to just get a hammer and drive the cup out. So we're going to just slide it on in there. We're going to get a hammer and just knock it out. That's one. Just slide it in there and drive the other one out. Nice and neat. I forgot how much this one is. I'll leave the price there on the screen. So we're done with this. We're going to put it away. All right. So what I love about this frame is it is butted, so it's thicker where it needs the strength, and it's thinner where it doesn't need it. And this frame, it's actually thicker right here where the cups are, and then it's actually thinner on the inside of this. This is a great frame, super lightweight, and Trek was doing a really great job when they made this bike. What we're going to be doing now is we're going to make sure that this head tube is properly faced before installing the headset. So what we're going to be doing is we're getting our Park Tool HTR-1B. Yes, that's correct, HTR-1B, and we're going to use plenty of the Phil Woods Tenacious Oil because you need to make sure that you're using plenty of cutting oil, and this is really good for cutting. And you can actually see that there's paint on here, so we want to keep on using this tool until we see that it's all silver or mostly silver. If there's a little bit of paint in one little tiny spot, use your judgment. I actually leave it because if you're that close, you don't need to cut anymore. It wears on the tool, plus also you're cutting a lot of material off of your frame there. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so the first thing that I want to do is I want to make sure that any dirt and debris is actually not on here, because dirt doesn't do the tool any good. It can cause a little bit of premature wear. And we're going to go ahead and get this tool, and we're going to put a generous amount of cutting oil on the cutting surface of this tool. And don't worry about the mess, you can clean it up, but it will leave a mess. Okay, and we're gonna install this right here. It's already, I can see it's a little bit of a tight fit. And you can see the paint is already coming off. Okay, so before I start cutting very much metal, let's go ahead. Now there's some metal right there. Let's go ahead and back off on this and see what it looks like. It's very possible that this frame could be already nice and straight. That is a snug fit. And looky there. You can actually see that there's a little bit of paint right there, and we're going to take just a little bit more off. So you can actually see, let's go ahead and clean this tool up a little bit more. We want to take any of the shavings off, but be very careful because this is very sharp. We're going to go ahead and add some more tenacious oil here. Actually, okay, make sure the tool's straight, and we're going to start to you want to be nice and smooth. All right, I am stopping there. I'm backing off, giving it a little bit of turn, a tiny bit of a turn. Okay, and that should be a nice surface area. Beautiful. Now we're going to clean the tool and we're going to do the bottom. Okay, so now that we've cleaned the tool here, we're going to put some more of the cutting oil on the bottom. We're going to slide the tool up in here. Okay, tighten this up. And then we're going to move the handlebars. We don't want the handlebars to get in the way. You might need to secure it in a good spot. All right. And try to use two hands, and this is cutting a lot of material. Okay. Okay. I don't like to go very much. So now I'm going to back this off. And you can see all that metal right there. Okay, so backed off a little too much. I do want to feel it on there, but if there's any rough spots, I want it to kind of go away. Okay. All right. How's it look? Okay, a little bit of paint there, but I think that's looking pretty good. So let's go ahead and remove the tool and clean everything up and put it away. Be very careful wiping this, because this is now a little bit on the sharp side. Just make sure it does look good. Yeah, just a little tiny bit of paint right there near the weld, but it's just so little, we're going to leave it there. Okay, so now that we've got this all nice and cleaned up, the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and grease or anti-seize, or both, the surface of where the cups are going to be pressed into. And I'm going to be using some of this Park Tool, the Polylube PPL-2, and we're going to go ahead and put a generous amount on the inside there and on the surface there where there's bare metal. You can't use too much grease on this, because okay, you can use too much grease if you're rebuilding a hub, because if you're wanting to race and you put too much grease in the hub, it's I mean, it's good, it'll last a long time, but it'll slow you down. This is assembly, and you really can't use too much grease on the assembly. So we're going to get this this Toro headset here, and this thing is so cool. You need to see this. I mean, it is so cool. It's got needle bearings. So I don't know if you can actually see, but there's actually a nice row of needle bearings there. And look at the surface. The bearings just have so much surface area to actually make contact with, and well, that's the reason why, if it's not perfectly level, that it binds up. But after we're done with this is going to feel absolutely amazing. I love the color. This is a really cool bit of vintage, new old stock parts that's going to be really cool on this bike. So let's go ahead and actually, before we can install the parts, the headset. So we're going to go ahead and get a little bit of anti-seize for this. And where's my anti-seize? There it is. I mean, it's not going to hurt anything. I'm going to be using some of this copper anti-seize. This is a really high grade bit of aluminum, and I don't want it to react with the steel, because aluminum and steel don't like each other. That's why you want to make sure that you grease the pedal spindle. Whenever you're installing pedals into an aluminum crank, you always want to make sure that you grease the threads, because otherwise you may never get it back apart again. Okay, so we're going to press this in. The top one, it doesn't matter, there's no lettering on this. So we're going to go ahead and get our headset press, which is right here. So this is a HHP-2, and you actually have these reducers here, and we will be using one of these reducers because it fits nicely on the inside because I don't want anything to get scratched. So whenever you're using a headset press, it can actually go on the outside here, but I don't want it to scratch anything. So there's shoulders right here, and it fits nicely on the inside. And if there is any scratching, you won't be able to see it because, well, it's on the inside of the headset, and nobody's going to see the inside of that. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and press this one in. And it's real easy to do this whenever you have the proper tools. We're going to try to make sure that everything is straight. And there, I just snugged it. I don't need to make it any tighter. Beautiful. Okay. Now we're going to press in this bottom cup. Now this bottom cup, you have writing on this. So you want to make sure, do you want the writing to be on either side of the frame where you can see it on the left and the right? Or do you want to be able to see it from the front? Well, I want to see it from the left and the right. So be very careful whenever you're centering this. Make sure that it's where you want it, because it's not good to knock this cup out and reinstall it, because, well, it can get scratched, something can get damaged. We don't want that. So I'm gonna put some more grease in here because I kind of wiped some of it off with the tool. Okay, so we're going to get another one of these reducers, and we're going to fit it into the bottom of the cup here. And then we're going to go ahead and install it. Okay, we're going to be very careful to make sure that we get this exactly where we want it. This tool should lock in here in a second. We should hear a click. There we are. And we're going to make our adjustments. And then I hold the bottom here to try to keep it from turning. And we get it nice and pressed in until it makes contact. Just snug it, don't over tighten it, because when you're using these reducers, they're pushing on the inside of the actual headset, and if you over tighten it, you can break it from the outside here, and that would not be good, because this headset did cost me a pretty penny. This is looking great. We just need to go ahead and clean it up real good. You know, clean any excess grease. And we're going to go ahead and now we're going to clean the surface of the crown race on the fork. And we're going to make sure that's good and straight. So let's see how good that is. First thing we need to do is we need to remove the actual race from the crown. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to get Park Tools Crown Race Puller. This is a CRP-1 that has been discontinued. They have come out with a CRP-2, I want to say, which is the newer, up-to-date one. And we're just going to go ahead and use this one, because actually it's it's pretty good. Let's tighten this up. We don't want to scratch the paint, because I like the paint on this thing. There we go. So it's got a clamp down here at the bottom, and what we're doing is we're clamping onto the race, and then we've got a handle right here, and we're just going to turn it, and it should pull the race right off. That is, if I installed it all the way, but it slipped a little bit. I might not have had it quite all the way, but actually that's one problem that they were having with this tool, was it would actually slip at the bottom. But as you can see, whenever you install it properly, it does actually work. Okay, so now that we've gotten the crown race off, again, we want to clean the surface. We want to make sure that there's no dirt. So we've got our CRC-1. There's several pieces that you may need to figure out which one it is, but there's an 1/8" one, which is like a 20, let me see, or excuse me, for a 30.1 is what we want. And we want the 1/8" instead of the 1 inch, because this is an 1/8". We're going to take that out, install this one. I'm not going to tighten it up quite yet. We're going to install our tool. We need to get some Allen keys. We want this to drop into place. There's a couple of locking holes. Let's make sure. We want to make sure that it's actually in properly. So, and we don't need to tighten these things down. They just need to keep this thing in place. Okay. I'm going to just tighten that a little bit. We need some of that cutting oil. It's going to make a mess. That's why you have rags. Don't slam it down on it. We're going to tighten this just a little bit more. And then we're going to kind of hold it in gentle pressure. Slowly. We're going to lift it up. We're going to see if it's nice and clean all the way around. Nope. A little more cutting oil. gentle pressure. Turn it slowly. We're going to pull it off and check it again. Look at that metal. That's it right there. Beautiful. Now again, be very careful, because whenever you're wiping this, you do not want to cut yourself on the edge of that surface there, because it is sharp. So now that this surface looks great, we're going to go ahead and I'm going to put some anti-seize on this surface. Okay. And we'll put a little bit of grease on this surface. It's not hurting anything. Okay. We're even going to put it on the bottom here. We'll clean any excess up with a rag. Okay, and then we're going to be using our crown race installation tool. Park actually has several different adapters. You want to pick the one that fits the shape of the race as much as possible. So we're going to slide that on. We're going to get our hammer, and we're going to knock it in place. So go as straight as possible. And it's actually going crooked. You might have to use a different tool. We haven't gotten very far, so I hope that we can just kind of pop it off. Okay, let's try a different tool. Let's try this one. Yep, that one's working better. And you'll actually be able to hear the pitch change, so listen closely. Did you hear that? Got a little bit louder, so you can tell that it's actually made contact, and it has. So we're going to get our rag here, and we're just going to kind of clean some of the excess grease off. All right. Now it's time to install the headset. We're going to put some grease in the bearings, and we're going to see how it looks here. Okay, so we're going to be putting some anti-seize on the threads of this fork. Let's spread this. Okay, we're going to be, let's see, is that, okay, so that's anti-seize. And then I've got a really high grade clear grease, yes, for our bearing here. So we're going to put a generous amount of grease inside the headset there. We'll put a little bit on the surface of the race here. We'll put some on the bearing, being careful not to knock any of these bearings out. We're going to put the bearing right on there. We'll put some more grease. You really can't put too much grease on the headset. I mean, what's it going to do? Slow down your steering? No. Okay, we're going to put some in the top there. Lots of grease. Grease inside of there. On the bearing. All right. Let's install this headset, or install this fork, I should say. Okay. I'm going to slide this up in there. Make sure everything's looking like it's lining up good. We've got some anti-seize on the threads there. Now, if I recall, this is a nice tight fit, which it is. This is a very high quality headset, and everything is really tight. Wait, I did install the bearing, didn't I? Where'd I put the bearing? Oh, it's in the top. Duh. There's no play with this. It is so snug. Okay. Finger tight. We're going to install our locking ring here. And it looks like we're going to have to add some spacers here, because this is only going to go on so far. We had some extra spacers. Let's install that black one there. And then let's see. You know what? We're going to do some more anti-seize. Oh, that's clear. Because I do not want this headset messed up. Okay. It wouldn't hurt to put a little inside there as well. Okay, so it's bottoming out, and that spacer is still a little bit loose. I've got to get another spacer. Okay, there we go, that's looking pretty good. We're going to thread this on. Okay. All right, let's get our headset wrench and being careful not to scratch anything. It'd be nice if I can get this to the front, but I don't think that's going to happen. It's not. Here, let's move the camera here. A little smaller there. This should be it. Yep. And we're just going to tighten this. Not very tight. And then we're going to get our 36. We're going to kind of back it off. And what it does is it kind of locks everything together. Just snug. And then we're going to feel the bearings. Okay. That's feeling pretty smooth. Pretty good. Alright. We're going to put the handlebar and stem back into place. You know what? I'm going to need to release some of the pressure because I've got to loosen this up because it's supposed to clamp down on the seal. Actually, it's a tight fit on the stem here. So we're going to slide it down in there. Okay. We're going to tighten this down a bit. We're going to tighten this. And I've got a really cool tool. It's actually a laser. You got to see this. It fits on the handlebar here. And it's got a spot. Let's see if we can see it. So it fits just right here on the handlebar. And it's got a little, you flip a switch and see it's got a laser there. We're going to fit it on the handlebar, and what it does is it actually points to the wheel, the tire. It helps you line up the handlebars. And it does a great job. So I'm lining it up there, and it's lined up there. It's really, really kind of cool. You can see the laser there. And we're just going to tighten it up here. Good and tight. And I'm so confident that it's lined up good that I'm going to go ahead and install this cap. This is a great tool here. We're going to make sure this is snug. And we're going to lock this into place. good and tight. That's feeling pretty good. We're going to hook up the brake cable here. And we're going to get this off the stand and see how it looks. Let's see. That feels great. Look at that. It just turns easily. Let's clean up some of this grease and let's put it on the ground and let's see if we can feel any play. This thing is looking so cool. I love this purple. I love this bike. We're gonna drop it on the ground. That is so good, so good. So let's see if these handlebars are straight. It's perfect. Handlebars are perfect. Dead on. Perfect. I love this tool. I hate to say that none of my distributors actually have this tool, and I hate to tell you where I got it. Amazon is where I got it, and Amazon is not the place I go to for tools, but it's just something I wanted to try out because installing or trying to adjust handlebars, the stems, sometimes it's very difficult to get a handlebar and the wheel straight. And I decided to give this a try. I think I paid like 20 bucks for this, and it's amazing. It actually works great. I hope some distributors start selling some like this, because I'm going to tell you, it's cheap. I mean, it's rechargeable. The rechargeable is kind of cool. I prefer a replacement battery because when the battery goes bad in this, it might be difficult to replace. We'll find out. Whereas if it had replaceable batteries, you could just go ahead and replace them. But it really worked well. So guys, tell me what you think of the bike. I think it's really turning out great, and I wish I had more of a video for you on this bike, but I don't, and I'm sorry, I don't know what's happened there. But if you did enjoy this video, please leave me a big thumbs up. Don't forget to tell your friends. Check out some of the other videos on the corner of the screen. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will catch you later. Thanks.